Hello, Russell here. Welcome to another build. In this video we're going to be making the ABC Warrior from the 1995 Judge Dredd movie, which is one of my favourite movies. I've scaled it up as big as my printer can handle it, and the base I actually had to slice in half just to fit it on the build plate. The build times are 50 hours for each skull piece and about 40 hours for each base piece, and they printed really well. Apart from the left skull, I had a blocked nozzle during printing, so it just finished like that. So I wasn't going to waste this print, so I went into Mesh Mixer and sliced this part off and then reprinted it. I'm going to start working on the base first because it just seems like the easiest part. I've got to remove quite a lot of support material in there. Okay guys, I've removed all the support material and I'm ready to glue it together now. I'm just going to use some of this cheap 5-second super glue, and then once I've done that I'll have to mix up some filler and fill in the seam line at the front and along the top there. I'm not going to bother inside there because you're not going to see it, so I'm going to get cracking with that. Okay guys, the filler is now dry and I'm going to sand it with 80 grit and 120 grit sandpaper. There isn't much here to sand, so it shouldn't take me too long, and I'm going to put on my dust mask because you don't want to breathe in the dust from this filler, so I'm going to get cracking with that. Okay guys, the sanding's done now. I've got it as smooth as I can. It's best if you can get it as smooth as you can at this stage, because that way when you come to do your priming you won't see it as much. So I've got to clean up the desk and then we'll get cracking on the two skull pieces next. Okay guys, now we're on to the skulls, and I'm planning on doing LED eyes for both of them. So I picked these three items up off eBay: a 9-volt battery bank with an on-off switch, some red car tail light tint, and a couple of orange LED lights with resistors pre-wired in them. I'll leave a link for all of those in the description. And this container is like a microwavable meal, and I plan on making the eyes out of this material. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is make a template of the eyes just out of masking tape before I Dremel them out. Okay guys, after dremeling out the eyes, I just cleaned them up with a file and sandpaper, and then I drilled a hole straight into the back of the infill and inserted this little LED housing. And then with this one it was particularly easy because I could just remove the infill where I wanted to run the wiring, and then I just drilled a hole at the bottom there. With this one it was pretty much the same, but I just had to just drill up through there. So the next step is to make the eyes out of this plastic microwavable container. Okay guys, I've cut the eyes out and I also sanded both sides of the plastic just to defuse the light a little bit. Plus I shaped them a little bit with a heat gun. Now I've got to cover both sides with this tail light tint, and then once I've done that I'll be hot gluing them in place. Okay guys, now that the eyes are done, I need to get these two pieces glued together. I'm just going to use this 5-second super glue. I'll probably use all of it, and then once I've done that I'll put some of this elastic bands around it to keep it in place, and then once that's dry I'll have to glue this piece to this one here. Okay guys, the parts are now glued together, and I've also given it a good sand, and I'm ready to fill in this seam line now. So I've applied masking tape to either side of the seam line to just catch all the excess filler. Now I'm ready to mix some up and I'll get cracking with it. Okay guys, the fill is now dry and I've removed all the masking tape and I've just got to give it a sand now. So I'll first use 80 grit and then 120 grit and then see how it looks after that. Okay guys, I've given it a really good sand. There's a few spots that I'm not quite happy with, so I'll probably just go over it again with some more filler. But apart from that, the next stage will be to prime it. Okay guys, we're finally ready to prime the model. I'm going to use this P.L.A High 5 high build primer on both of them. It's -2 today, so I've warmed it up with my heat gun. I'm going to start on the skull first and then do the base. I'll give them both 3 coats and about an hour between each coat. So I'm going to get my respirator on and get cracking. Okay guys, we're now ready to wet sand it. I've got warm soapy water here with 800 grit wet and dry sandpaper, and I've also taped up the eyes just to stop any water from going inside where the LEDs are. Once I've wet sanded it, I'll go back over it again with another 2 coats of primer and also do the underneath because I've not primed under there yet. So I'm going to start on the skull first and then do the base. Okay guys, the models are now ready to rust. I'm going to use this spray on rust product. You would have seen me use it in previous videos. It's proper rust in a can and you have to apply a activation solution to get it to rust, and I'll give them both 2 coats, about an hour between each coat. So I'm going to get my respirator on and get cracking. Okay guys, the base coat is now dry. Now I'm going to work in the activation solution with this Scotch pad, which I think is about 240 grit. And then once I've done that, I'm going to let it dry for about an hour and then repeat the process until I'm got the finish that I want. Okay guys, the rusting is now finished. It took about 24 hours to achieve a good rust. Now I removed the masking tape from these piston points and these two things at the back. I'm not quite sure what they are, and I'm going to paint them metallic silver with this paint, and I'll just give it one coat and see how it looks. If it needs two, I'll do two. Okay guys, I'm now ready to solder the LED wires to the power supply. I've twisted together the two negatives and the two positives, and now I'm going to solder the negative first, and then once I've done that, I've got some heat shrink tube in here, and then I'll repeat the process for the positive wires. Okay guys, the model's now finished. I finished it off with some silver metallic paint just to create some areas of battle damage, and I think it turned out really good. The eyes look really good. I'm very happy with them. The orange LED with the red tint in front creates a nice glow, just like from the movie. The rust, it's quite a deep one. I sprayed on quite a lot of the activation solution, so the more you spray on, the deeper the rust develops, but I'm very happy with it. I hope this video helped you if you were attempting to do this build. Please comment, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks.